Good morning. It is Thursday, April 23rd. We are getting closer and closer every day to being done our work and sending it to appropriate, agriculture. So I could have got it sounded like my grandmother. Hey, Russell, Jess, Keith, Kevin. Anyways, we're getting pretty close to getting done our work in agriculture. And we're finishing up some of our bills. I think that probably next week about this time, we could be done. If not, maybe a day earlier than that. We are again cleaning up some loose ends. We have been spending a lot of time on H739, an act relating to prohibiting the use and sale of the herbicide paraquat. We are down just to applications as far as how we feel that paraquat should be applied as it moves forward. We had asked Steve Doinell, Director of Plant Industry and Division, Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets, to come in, and we'd like to hear what he would have to say on some of the thoughts that we had. So welcome, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. For the record, Steve Doinell, Director of Division of Plant Industry of Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets.
So can I tee it up a hair?
Yeah, please.
And then let you go. So we are headed towards where the House got with their version of this bill. Our findings, if findings at all, are going to be vastly different than what they say. Although I don't think that any of the language, the overall of what the bill that came over to us did, I don't think that we're going to be very far away from that. What we are not struggling with at all, but our last piece of where it is that we've got it down to hand application, and then talking to a couple of the people that are the orchards or berry growers that are still using the product. They had a application method that wasn't by hand, but it was a 32 to 38 inch arm that went out through that laid a strip of paraquat of not being any higher than 14 inches of going through there. And so we wanted your thoughts as far as on that, and we'll work with Bradley Showman as well, to Attorney Showman, to get some language out. But and then anything else that you want to tell us, you've been very helpful with us throughout this process. And so when you need the expert opinion, you bring in the expert. So and then committee, anything that I missed on that?
I think that's probably it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you, Senator. So when it comes to application direction, the labels got some very specific language. Paraquat's been like crop. There are a lot of toxicity issues with it. So the EPA has added a lot of language to labels regarding method application. So when it comes to hand application, there's actually specific language on the label relative to hand application. It has to be a hand pressurized application. It can't be backpack applicator if they're wanting to do that. There's also directions on the label regarding minimizing drift by using medium to coarse droplet sizes, using flat fan nozzles. So when it comes to pesticide application, if you want to manage drift, the factors are the pressure of the application equipment, the type of nozzle, the boom height, and the volume. So you factor in all those things, and there is a pretty standardized set of definitions about all that. There's an organization called the Society of Agricultural Biological Engineers, and they publish, standards for droplet sizes and pressures and nozzles, and just trying to standardize it. And that language that is adopted on the pesticide, right? So there are very specific language about how to make an application of this material and other materials too. And Yeah, so I mean, there are ways to do it. I mean, is the concern drift or is the concern exposure to the applicant? I mean, what is it
Yep.
you're looking at?
Drift as much as anything, I think is that what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's attached to that minimizing use. And the way I understood it is that you use Paraquat in a couple of different ways. One is how we've heard it be used.
Right.
The other is to just take it and burn down the whole field so that it can then be replanted.
Right.
Part of my thought was we want to make sure that the entire field usage would not be allowed. So that have some other means of doing that. But the way that it's used now would be. And I'm not a farmer, so I'm just sort of like talking kind of in general, and that's why we don't know any of the language on this, or even if that makes sense.
Well, I think Senator Plunkett's right on board with it. What we're trying to get to as well is that most of the testimony that we've heard for what resonated with us, which should be allowable because of the inability for them to find another product that worked as well, has been in strips. Or hand applied, or in a strip of 32 to 36 inches, maybe 38 inches. So it's been in that way, in between rows of trees or in a row of strawberry, or so it hasn't been exactly how Senator Plunkett said it. We don't want big boom trucks. We don't want large scale fields being applied with that. We want to be able to support our farmers in the way that they're using the product now in a very limited use, less than 125 gallons a year. But we want to be concerned about how it gets applied and to minimize drift and to minimize harm to anyone that might be using the product. We're pretty comfortable with the stringency of the people that have to have an applicator's license. You know, we hear about the failure rate. We're okay with that because we think it's important. I think that's one of the reasons why that in the United States it hasn't been banned like it has been used in other parts of the country, because there are such strict usage of it. But we also know that in other states it is being used in the way that Senator Plunkett has said, where it has been used as a whole scale thing of let's burn this field down.
Right.
We don't want that. We want to use it in the way that we've heard our farmers use it now and be helpful for them, but also give them the off ramp to understand that you better work really hard to find another method because in 2030 it will not be allowed in Vermont anymore.
Okay. So the language I've seen restricts it to tree or fruit producing tree orchards and strawberry production.
Berries.
Yeah, it would be berries in general berry. Okay.
Yeah.
So the type of what you're talking about is field desiccation or burn down prior to planting, and that's done in places where they do that with large boom type ground application. The ground application with the boom that may cover any distance. That's not what's happening here in Vermont, from my understanding, how I understand that it's being used. So, and the way with the restrictions that you put on it for berries and for tree fruit producing tree orchards, they're not going to do that. There's no point in doing that. The other thing is the way the language is written is it has to be done by permit.
Right.
Okay, so that gives us a lot of opportunity to restrict how it's being used,
right,
and specify conditions.
Right.
And one suggestion, rather than try to specify, a certain boom length or height or anything, is to add a section that says the permit shall have conditions which, minimize drift and minimize worker exposure.
Yeah.
And we can do that. I mean, we do that all the time with other permits. We issue permits for right-of-way applications, for mosquito control, for terrestrial invasive plant control. So when we put conditions on those permits on how they have to be used. Plus, because we issue the permit, we know exactly who's making the application. And in general, we inspect every permit. That's something. in the process of the season.
So I think you just might have solved the problem of us really struggling with it, because we don't struggle on a whole bunch, but we really struggled on this as
Yeah.
far as to get the language right. There's two things that we didn't want to happen. One is that we didn't want you folks or anyone to look at it and say, what the heck were they thinking? They're such amateurs. And so I think the best thing, my suggestion would be for you to totally understand where we want to be,
Right.
and then talk with the Attorney Showman
Okay.
and get us some language moved forward so that we can, what we've been really careful about through all of this, and I've charged the committee with this, is all of this, especially this one right here. It's one of the first bills that we've ever had any disagreements in, and where we have worked through all of that stuff. And I've said, we're gonna keep on taking testimony, and we're gonna keep on doing this until we can all look at this and defend it to whoever has come up to us.
Mhm.
And we're getting there. And I think now we got stuck on this, because we don't want to be going against, the professional's advice where it is. It'd be helpful for us if you and Bradley could sit down and get to that.
Yeah.
And so that,
Yeah.
it would make sense. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So is there any benefit to referencing that group that you mentioned
Yes.
and just saying current instructions, or however we want to word it, have to be followed, kind of thing?
Yeah, that's one way to do it, is to reference the standard that already has been established by the Society of Agricultural Biological Engineers on droplet sizes and recommendations. The other potential is EPA right now has established in order for them to come into compliance with the Endangered Species Act, they've established some requirements on pesticide use that include drift reduction measures that have to be used. And they've actually published a drift reduction calculator that includes all the different factors that an applicator can use. And we could even reference that if we had to.
And those are already in effect?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maybe we don't need to.
But I mean, they're not in effect on the Paraguay label yet. They have to be added. This is a strategy that EPA has adopted. They're going through the process now of, as they register new products or re-register old products, they're putting language on the label. The language on the drift reduction, or what's called an ecological drift, mandatory ecological drift buffer, isn't on the Paraguay label yet. So what I was suggesting, and go back and forth on this, is rather than cite one particular standard, but use the existing EPA drift mitigation process and say, you have to do X, Y, and Z to mitigate, and just reference that. In the permit, that would be when you have to be in the statute, it would be in the permit. And then the permit, you can put them in there. Yeah.
It sounds like this might all be covered under the permit process,
Exactly.
perhaps as
Yeah.
it's written right now, but if you can confirm that.
We need the authority to put that in the permit. So that would have to be in the statute.
Well, we would,
We'd have to have the authority to put that in the permit.
we would, yeah, we will give you that authority. I think that you're, what you want to do or what you've suggested is doing exactly where we want to go.
Okay,
It's going to give us, yeah, it's going to help us out tremendously.
okay, well, I'll get together with Steve Collier and
Yeah.
we talk to him.
And then Attorney Showman, yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking width restriction too. So we could take a look at that.
Well, it depends on what you need. Okay,
On the applicator not being any wider than 36 inches.
but,
Because you have the droplet size and all that.
right, so, okay, let's talk about that for a second. So you have a 36-inch width restriction. Does that mean per pass?
We don't even know if that's even where we want to be. I mean, that's what we heard as
You
far
want
as
to
what.
minimize the amount.
Right,
applied, right.
And for the berry growers and the fruit growers, they were saying that, they don't need basically the width this
Yeah.
past year.
Right.
So if we put that in statute,
Or if we put something in to say that no wider than, you know, I don't want to leave it broad neither, but to put it no wider than what's necessary to get to where Rob's point is.
Right,
Okay, no, you're not gonna burn down the alleyway you're driving down through just because you don't like those weeds in there. It
Right.
needs to be applied in the vicinity of the, or the strip.
right,
of-
yeah, and we can get the correct term.
And only for the purpose of, you know, for what they're needing, to,
The control weeds in the.
In the grow area, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever terms, I can get together, Gary Branch on for we'll find out, what is that? What
and we'll put that, in the permit regulations. is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
that makes our job a little simpler, I think.
right, but yeah, so that accomplishes the goal of not allowing field-wide, treatment.
Because we did have, I want to say somebody in Addison County use it to,
There were,
soybean.
yeah, there was one application, it was 2022. But I believe that was just that they were trying it out.
And that's what we want
Right, well, that wouldn't be allowed on the way.
Exactly.
You know, because they wouldn't be allowed on soybeans right here.
So let me just try one more time to make sure I'm clear on everything. I think the committee wants to allow whoever is using it now to continue to be able to use it.
It's the way they're using it
Yes.
up until 20.
So are we taking that ability away from anyone that you're aware of that's using it now?
No, not my,
All right.
not what I've heard.
Well, you could, if you were to go through the permit process, but I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if you guys go through it and you don't have a good feeling they're gonna comply with the permit, you can say, no. You're not gonna use it. If you can't agree to these permit terms,
Right,
then you're not gonna use it.
right. The permit would specify exactly how they have to use it.
And then, as you said, you would, you know, periodically do some inspections or you could, or you have the ability to, or you may do some inspections.
Right,
If you think, and if you go there and find out that it isn't right, you can go there, you can see a burn pattern and say, well, what did you use here? Well,
and that's,
so,
we do that all the time.
right,
Drift. In investigations of drift is a standard process and that's like. So, okay, you know how to do that.
I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah, sounds really good.
We will.
anything else for Steve?
This was incredibly helpful
Yes.
and informative.
We should have called you weeks ago.
Yeah, when in doubt, call the person that knows.
So,
Okay, cool.
Good.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, Steve, thank you,
Thank
Steve,
you.
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Okay, very helpful. So yeah, when you call in the experts, you find out the right answers.
Normal.
Spent a little time, on equine amendment. Maggie, Let's, lobbyist or Vermont Equine Industry Advocacy Group. But also I have, Scott Moore, from JFO. We have been asked, come on up there. We've been asked, to, get a physical note on this. I've asked Scott to who we'd use, and I won't jump right into that now. But he basically says he doesn't really have an ag person, but I want to make sure that he's in here to totally understand what we're asking for.
Yeah.
And which we can. So Maggie, there's some things that are going on back and forth amongst some of the language and all that stuff. I'm letting them work out, but rest assured, everything that we have in that language is to support what we're trying to get done, and in the way that the people that we're asking to do that to be comfortable with. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. So Maggie Lenz, Vermont Equine Industry Advocacy Group. So we initially saw the language. Thank you so much. I have a laundry list of people to thank making this happen for this committee, first and foremost. I think yesterday I just had some questions about the language in terms of farm structures, because this to us is really about the structures more than anything else.
Yeah.
The survey that we're working through right now that these folks, my client put out, identified, I think they sent it out to about 190 farms. This was a painstaking effort. I mean, researching on Facebook, it's very hard to identify who all these people are. So that 190, to be clear, is likely not the universe. It's just who they could find, no idea about eligibility. They had about 63 respondents. We're breaking that out to try to understand better what the structures are on the eligible land, how that intersects.
Well, I think that a lot of it and has to be that if they went to the current use website,
Mhm.
they're gonna understand that a little bit better because they're not gonna have any carve outs any different than what other farmers are. And we are battling that right now. In fact, I didn't include all the committee on it, but I included Senator Major on it. We are gonna bring in before the end of the season again, the LURB and A&R. Because we have farm structure buildings that are requiring Act 250 permits that we don't always agree with. So we are battling that, just like some of your people are gonna battle, but the best advice is two things. One is, let's wait for the complete language to be done before we, get into, what we wanna do. And the other is, it is going to comply with the set tone of what current use is right now. So there may be some of your buildings that maybe, I don't know, but I could imagine there are gonna be some buildings on there that they aren't gonna comply with current use. But we battle that all the time as well. So,
And that's what we want to do that. We want this to be narrow. We're not looking to
Right.
bring everybody into this universe. That's
Right.
been important. That one of the first things they ever stressed to me was what defines, in their perspective, a professional equine farm. So I actually think now that I've had a back and forth with legislative council that we feel comfortable with this language.
Okay.
I think that it does do what we're asking it
Yeah.
to do. And we would also like to better understand the universe. I think a fiscal note makes a lot of sense. So, little concern just about timing.
yeah, so what we're doing right now, is, the reason why, I've asked Scott Moore to come in with us. Is that, we're hearing from, you better have a fiscal note on this. I've had a hallway, conversation with the chair of finance and she seems amenable to this idea. The way that I framed it but it is gonna go through that committee without fiscal. note.
Absolutely.
They're not going to agree to it unless they know what they're agreeing to. So, yeah, so our goal is to have this done this session.
Yeah.
To have it
Appreciate it.
attached.
Appreciate it. And just, so yeah, we'll look forward to that fiscal note as well. I think it's always good to have the information. Like, we're not trying to put something through without understanding the universe that we're asking for. I can say from the survey, and again, this is not the most scientific survey ever, but it's the closest thing we have to information. Believe we're talking about, they had something like 7,000 plus acres respondents. Half of that was already in current use. So we're looking at adding then some structures that exists on those properties. So I think we're talking about, something like 22 arenas, something like that.
I think that the survey that you had, and you might want to stay in the room while we have Scott come, and you might want to share your survey with Scott. They're going to be looking for information, I'm sure. I can honestly say that the time that I've been here, I've never done a fiscal note because the committees I've been involved with have been able to bring their own financing in or their own people in to tell them. So it's got a little bit of an eye opener for us to actually get a fiscal note. I think maybe Senator Colin Moore has been involved with it because he's been around here for longer. But yeah, so if you want to hang loose,
I'd love this.
and
Yeah.
we'll bring Scott up and make sure that he's fully aware of what we're asking him to do.
Thank you. I really appreciate everybody here.
Yep, thank you.
Morning, committee.
Good morning, sir. The floor is yours.
How are you? How are you? Director Scott Moore, the fiscal office. Senator Ingles asked me yesterday to not go on the minutes, but like to have the breakfast. They're coming in and trying to prepare a fiscal note. Typically what happens is when we often the bills will pass out of committee, then we look at the fiscal note. Up until then, often we kind of run some numbers. So at least you have an idea of what you're facing. I know Senator Palmer, we've worked together.
Yep.
We've got lots with fiscal notes. So part of that will be what he's looking for, so I can, look at things. I might not be the best person for some of the Act 250 things, but I know after the capital bill's done this afternoon, I'm looking at a lot of capital.
Three of them.
Then my workload I can shift, so I can have the capacity to do this. So part of this will be what you're looking for, how much research and where I want to go. And if I can't be that person, I'll find the right person. But I know we're talking about.
I think I might be able to help. So we are, as a committee, close to getting it so that modified equine businesses who are at least 50% of what they do on their horse farms can enter into all the protections or products or whatever that farmers enjoy through the current use program. As of right now, there was 2 columns of requirements, one over here and one over here. Taxes said, no, we're going to allow some of these things to move over here to help them better get into the eligibility of current use. So we don't know how many of those horse farmers are that's going to be. So we don't, Maggie's done a survey, unofficial to them, but unofficial survey. It looks like they might have 22 horse farms that might be eligible going through. Of course, current use hasn't stepped into that yet. Also, it might be helpful to have a conversation with the chair of finance and say, I've been asked to do a fiscal note. What is it that you're going to want to see as it comes through this committee?
Typically, they're going to want to look at what the potential revenue might be to the state. And just back up, because I had all of 24 hours to talk about this, not even the Senator Palmer, you sent me stuff last night about the 3 o'clock episode. So when we talk about equine, mostly equine owned properties, horse farms are great for veterinary, leather goods, like how much, where's that line when it comes to equine?
I think I would talk to tax. Because I think we have the general, yeah,
of everything.
I would talk to tax and say, what is it that you agreed to?
Okay.
And, yeah, what is,
without people,
so I think that would be without a doubt, very important to say, what is it that you agreed to?
Yeah.
And, so,
If I want to look at the scope of everything, and horse farms are very clearly equine related.
right,
But I can just sitting here and thinking about it, I can picture other areas that this might affect. It might not have much of an effect if it's just the leather goods guy down the road selling a bridle.
right.
But nonetheless, you want to make sure that might be included.
So I think what wasn't included before was riding lessons, and I think they've allowed that to be included.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of anything else on that very brief time that we looked at that second list, the 2 columns, and I can't remember.
Boarding, breeding.
Yeah, I think boarding, breeding,
Summer camps?
Was it, right?
riding lessons.
Summer camps?
Yeah, but I think that to be, all we're doing is giving you ideas to ask tax about.
Yeah.
I think that would be the best thing.
Yeah, wonderful. So I can go through and start doing that, but Maggie did have to have a survey of some sort.
Yeah, we'll get that to you the next day. I'm still just waiting for it to be a little more clear. And then may I just say something?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I cleanse, my Equine Industry Association group. I think the threshold, yeah, so I think it would be helpful for us to have clarity on if there are going to be, like, there's rulemaking or definitions of the activities, because I think the way that the language drafted, it's more of the threshold that ties into the Act 250 definition, like raising a 4 or more in equines. But then you also have to meet the test of 50% income threshold. So I think that's really what the universe is talking about. An impact on it on the general fund.
I don't know how many horse trailers are manufactured here in Vermont, but that should have their thought on that. Potentially, I mean,
At the end of the day, Scott, we want this to go forward as best we can, but we're not asking for any special carve outs. I think that the requirements of complying with current use are very well established. And that it was just only the graciousness of what the tax department had said that they would be willing to do would allow that. And we'll see how many people it helps. But yeah, we'd like to be able to include it in this year's stuff. I know it's at the end of the year, it's getting late, but whatever we can do to help would be appreciated.
Yep. We know you're not busy.
I do. The one thing I do enjoy about my job is I do touch lots of different areas, making sure I'll get your expenses taken care of, the capital bill, and lots of different areas. So it keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, this one.
Anything else for Scott?
No,
Much appreciated.
you thought of stuff we didn't think about though.
Yeah. No,
Horse trailer.
yeah, I don't know, well, but listen, that will be all, again, as a lot of like what we did in the previous testimony was, you bring in the experts and let them figure it out.
So I'll probably do a deeper dive after today,
Yeah,
which was kind of corresponds with Maggie needs to give me things by the end of the week kind of thing, so I might not have anything for you tomorrow.
Next week.
next week, we got next week, we got till
May
May 8th. So, yeah, we have,
And May 7th, and you're all out, that's when I did my pool.
yeah.
I don't think that's gonna
I
happen.
hope you're right.
Well, I would love,
Boy, that would be
I
great.
would love for you to be right. But I'm betting that you're not. So,
That's true. But otherwise, centers, whatever I can do to help, I'm happy to help.
thank you, always do. Well, glad to have you in this committee.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll broaden your horizons.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Scott. Committee, anything else?
Thank you so much.
General discussion
Yeah.
about where we're at with everything to make sure that we're on track with it. Are we forgetting anything?
Sorry, good luck.
And anybody got any more concern about anything? Are we getting close? We all know where our bills are. It's heard that there'll be a big moving day where we just start lopping things out of here. Anybody need to hear anything else? Anybody, or
Saw your email traffic on. Is that the farmer up in Orleans that is gonna come down and testify? What was your, I've got
was it a new email?
Jason Struthers.
Oh, yeah. Who's that?
He says he is the farm that was the reason for part of S 323. He would like to come in since I don't know if his farm was mentioned in that, but he felt like it was significant to that.
I thought you communicated with him.
I did communicate with him. I asked him what is, that we're getting late in the, season and what it was. I haven't seen the email.
Okay,
I haven't seen the email back. So he's answered back?
yeah,
He was the farmer in Essex that was growing pot and raising ducks.
okay.
The he did create, was the subject of the Supreme Court.
Catalyst.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so here's where I'm at. I think you guys know this. I'm all about not creating noise and not revisiting past tenants, moving forward. If you guys believe that, Mr. Struthers can add anything to what we've already done and passed already, then so be it. But at this point in time, I think I've moved on from that. I don't mean to be, not at all.
I don't think it would change.
I thought he had a specific. Stephen. I don't know if any testimony on that is going to change anything that we've done. I'm gonna just try to think through it. I think that a lot of what the Supreme Court decision is how we have changed our language around, especially to the 1 acre. The 1 to 4 acres, the 4 acre spot, swine. I don't know that, that's gonna help us get anywhere.
I don't know how 323, the passage of that would affect his situation. I think that's what he's not maybe saying as directly here, and I don't know the answer to that.
I think 323 passed because of what all those decisions were and what the Supreme Court said and all of that. And I think we have enough to finish up. That's where I'm at, but I always listen. So
I don't know if he's still operating.
I don't know, but I think we have some things to finish up before we get back into all of that. Okay. What else do we have to finish up? Are we on track? Is everybody comfortable? Is everybody good? We're,
Think we're there.
I'm sorry to keep on asking that. I just want to make sure.
We're talking to Bradley tomorrow about some of the languages.
Yeah. I think that tomorrow that we might be able to, I do know one thing. I don't know what I don't really understand what they're asking to do. We do have, so yes, we have Bradley coming in tomorrow for language, which will be language on a lot of this stuff. A lot of what we're doing. So we'll have a little time with him. VHTV asked to come in. They've asked for something. I don't know what it is. I haven't spent the time to, but they've been a very big player in this building. And VHTV, Gus Neely, and all those, they've asked. Proposed expanding eligibility for the Rural Economic Development Initiative Program. They've got something that they bumped up against or something. I don't know. I haven't dove into any of the, they haven't sent me a lot of communication, but out of respect for them is what they do, and what they were willing to do. I think that we should just hear them out. So, they'll be in tomorrow as well. Okay. Unless, there's anything else that's before us.